If your entire life has felt like it's quietly falling apart, but in a strangely precise way, this isn't chaos. This is initiation. And here's the uncomfortable truth nobody tells you. You're not awakening because you watched a few spiritual videos. You're awakening because something inside you crossed a threshold. And once that threshold is crossed, the old version of you cannot survive. Ancient cultures didn't call this self-discovery. They called it death before rebirth. And the eerie experiences you're having right now, they've been documented for thousands of years.
Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand whether you're just curious or whether you've already stepped into the initiation chamber.
It usually starts subtle. You wake up one day and your normal life feels artificial. Conversations sound rehearsed. Your job feels hollow. Goals that once drove you now feel like someone else wrote them for you. This isn't laziness, and it isn't automatically depression. In ancient initiation rites, this was known as the tearing of the veil. Before someone could be initiated into deeper awareness, their attachment to surface-level reality had to weaken. Think of it like a stage set. From the audience, it looks solid, but once you walk backstage and see the plywood and scaffolding, you can't pretend it's a castle anymore. And that realization feels destabilizing. But here's the key. Disillusionment is the doorway, not the destination. Then your sleep starts acting strange. You're exhausted, but wired. You wake up at 3 a.m. repeatedly. Your dreams feel vivid, symbolic, almost instructional. Sometimes you wake up with a strange surge of awareness, like something just shifted. Across spiritual traditions, altered sleep was common during initiation because the boundary between the conscious and unconscious begins to thin. When identity is shifting, your nervous system recalibrates. It's like upgrading your internal software while the system is still running. Of course, it glitches. You're not being haunted. You're being rewired. And rewiring rarely feels comfortable. Then the emotional waves hit. One day you feel expanded, almost euphoric. The next day you're overwhelmed by anger, grief, or memories you buried years ago. Here's what most people misunderstand. Initiation shakes loose suppressed emotion. Old rites often included fasting, solitude, or intense reflection to force unresolved energy to surface. Because you cannot build a new self on top of unprocessed pain. It's like renovating a house and discovering mold behind the walls. You can't ignore it once you've seen it. This isn't regression. It's excavation. At the same time, relationships begin shifting, sometimes fast. Certain people feel draining. Some disappear without drama. Others react strangely to you, irritated, defensive, distant. This part hurts. But initiation has always involved separation. In many cultures, initiates were physically removed from their tribe before returning transformed. Why? Because identity is reinforced socially. If you're evolving internally while your environment expects the old version of you, tension becomes inevitable. You're not abandoning people. You're outgrowing energetic contracts that no longer fit who you're becoming. Then something even stranger happens. Reality starts responding. You think of someone, they text. You ask a question internally, the answer appears in a book, a conversation, a random clip. Patterns and repeating numbers seem to follow you. At first, it feels cute. Then it feels precise.
Synchronicity increases during initiation because your awareness sharpens. You're noticing patterns that were always there.
This doesn't mean you're chosen in some ego-driven way. It means you're aligned enough to perceive.
Ancient initiates were taught to interpret symbols because life becomes symbolic when you stop operating purely on autopilot.
You're not being special.
You're becoming attentive. Then comes the pull towards solitude. You don't hate people. You just crave silence. Noise feels overwhelming. Small talk feels unbearable. In nearly every spiritual tradition, from shamans to desert mystics, solitude was mandatory. Modern culture pathologizes solitude. Ancient culture revered it.
When external stimulation quiets, internal truth gets louder.
If you feel pulled inward, it's not punishment. It's incubation.
And incubation always precedes emergence.
You may also notice physical sensations no one warned you about. Pressure in the forehead, random fatigue, tingling in your hands, sudden emotional surges that feel almost electric. Always rule out medical causes first. That's important.
But historically, identity shifts have often produced psychosomatic responses. When consciousness expands, the body recalibrates. Breathing patterns change, stress responses change, your nervous system adjusts. Your body is not separate from your awareness. It's the instrument through which awareness expresses itself.
When the music changes, the instrument vibrates differently.
Then you begin seeing through social performance.
You notice manipulation patterns. You see how validation drives behavior. You recognize how narratives are constructed to influence perception.
At first, this can make you cynical. But real initiation isn't about becoming paranoid. It's about seeing clearly without becoming bitter. Ancient teachings warned about this phase. Seeing the illusion is step 1. Refusing to become consumed by it is step 2. Clarity without compassion becomes arrogance. Clarity with grounding becomes wisdom. And then comes the confirmation phase. Life doesn't just feel strange internally. It starts pressing you externally. Unexpected endings, conflict, opportunities that demand courage, situations that force you to respond differently than you used to. In traditional rites, initiates were tested physically and psychologically, not as punishment, as refinement. Pressure reveals structural weakness. If you collapse back into old patterns under stress, the process pauses. If you respond with even a slightly new level of awareness, you move forward. You're not being attacked by life. You're being shaped by it. And shaping requires pressure. Initiation isn't glamorous. It's not aesthetic spirituality or curated quotes. It's identity demolition followed by reconstruction. It costs comfort. It costs certainty. Sometimes it costs relationships and long-held dreams. But in exchange, you gain something rare. Internal authority. Not arrogance. Not superiority. Authority. The kind that doesn't crumble when approval disappears. The kind that doesn't panic when circumstances shift. Ancient societies didn't initiate everyone. Only those who were ready. So if this feels uncomfortably familiar, ask yourself, are you breaking down or are you breaking open? Because that distinction changes everything. If this resonated, your life isn't randomly unraveling. It's reorganizing you into someone stronger, clearer, and harder to manipulate. Initiation feels like loss at first, but its alignment under pressure.
If you want to know how to navigate this phase without spiraling or sabotaging it, watch the next video. And if you're in this process right now, comment initiation so you know you're not walking through it alone.